Good evening, everyone. In a very short notice, I have to change the starting time today as I was engaged in a little discussion in the afternoon. It went a little further on a discussion, so that I thought of meeting you at 6:30. And I know that you all are joining right now, therefore we'll allow a couple of more minutes for to join. And before we begin, can I get a confirmation from you whether you can hear me properly?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you, Chana. We are expecting the others also to join. Now it's 6:32. Yes, at 6:34 we can begin the session discussion. Well, before that, if you guys do have any questions on things we've done last week, and of course on the workshop which you are supposed to engage, I have seen that most of you have made the submissions even without the recording available. I'm sorry that my week was really hectic, therefore I could not upload it until this afternoon. Make it all uploaded just a couple of hours ago. But most of the things which with the resources made available are quite clear because high order thinking learners like you can easily grasp when you look at the text. Therefore, I know that there is a worry that you didn't receive the recordings on time, but still, I'm sure that you all are capable of uh, managing with available resources to hang on for continuing activities. Thank you very much for the attempts you made. You have little time further to continue on the rest of the activities, but by now, I have assigned you with the next level of the workshop on which you have to look at the assigned writer's synthesis. And once you are assigned to a particular person, you can see it on the workshop itself. You know whose article should you be, whose synthesis should you be reviewing. And once you review that, you'll be getting marks. And the minimum requirement is you need to review 2 syntheses from others with which you are going to learn. Learn in the sense you're going to see how others look at the same matter in one way. And the second learning is quite simply you'll be trying your best to adhere to the given rubrics or rather given criterion on assessment. And by looking at those criterions, you're going to review it. And while you're reviewing, I'm sure that you're going to learn a lot. How? Then you see how the same work attempted by you is seen by another person's perspective. And when you comment on that person's synthesis, by looking at the marking guidelines, you're going to internalize by yourself how such a synthesis should be molded or rather crafted, keeping in line with the given guidelines. So these two aspects are clearly essential facts for you all to learn while you're doing this research writing thing. And we see people are joining, but I think it's time for us to begin and go ahead. Good evening, Madam Asmini. You are also there. Let me assign
Yes, good
you.
evening. Yes, good evening.
Well, so ladies and gentlemen, shall we directly join to today's artifacts or rather today's work? If you all can simply indicate me that you are ready to go ahead with what we are going to do today, yes, I can start from my end and go ahead. You can indicate in any way you like, maybe by raising your thumb and say yes, or rather by sending me a direct chat or sending to the group a direct message chat saying that you are ready. So just indicate your readiness, then we can move on to today's work. Kamini, thank you. You will start indicating me yes. Well, thank you, Supun. We have to begin, yes. Now, these literal interactions that you and me indicate here in a chat, maybe with a thumbs up, are all ways that we can make sure that we are connected. We are dealing with a living crowd, right? So that is a must to ensure that these sessions are making its progress with bit of an interactivity. So never hesitate to say thumbs up or say yes when your speaker on the other end is demanding such. Thank you, Supun and Tamini, for your indications. Others did not indicate maybe that they are not much willing. Yeah, thank you, Dhanushka. You also indicated. Well, with 3 of your confirmation, I'm willing to go ahead. Yes. And Ishana, thank you. Yes. We have almost half of you have confirmed, and with that, we are going to go ahead. Yes. Hope you can see my slides on your screen. Please confirm me whether you can see them and hear me well. I think it is the case for everyone, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we actually looked at how to deal with this literature review thing, or rather, how can you deal with an original source while you're reading through articles? Because articles are the main sources of information for you all, properly peer-reviewed, published, and cited in leading journals. Those articles are the ones that you're going to get incorporated in your literature survey. So when you deal with those things, you were doing 3 strategies. You were trying 3 ways of getting your sources, or rather getting the knowledge from your original sources to your synthesis. And if I have to name the 3, the first thing is that you're going to get perhaps a paragraph or maybe a phrase, maybe a sentence. I don't know how long you're going to get. If you're going to take the author's writing as it is in your write-up, we call it direct quotation, right? We did not deal much on this aspect because it's not a big deal. You simply take the direct quotation from the original article and you put them within inverted commas. And at the end of the inverted commas, you give the page citation or rather page reference to the source article, and within square brackets, you give, in your IEEE citation method, you give the source reference in number. So that's how you deal with direct quotations. And we actually did not practice anything on it because there is nothing of your caliber people to practice on it. It's quite simple. And of course, taking direct quotations from the original articles is permitted and is of course a good practice, but that is less promoted, or rather that is less appreciated. You know why? If you're going to get simply the ideas as it is, as verbatim copy from the original, verbatim copy from the original is simply a primary task. What you're doing is the higher order level conceptualizing task, in which direct quotations do have a very little role to perform, but the other 2 aspects, what are they? The summarizing and paraphrasing has a bigger role to play. So we'll be delving a little deeper into summarizing as a scholarly skill. And in that particular thing, we'll be looking at how to avoid plagiarism and how can you ensure ethical citations in your writing. So that is what we are going to do today, for which we'll be setting these learning outcomes as today's takeaways. So the first 2 learning outcomes are basically about you are getting to know the key components and the characteristics of academic summarizing. Now I added the adjective academic summarizing because you are going to do an academic publication on which it's not a simple summary, but you're going to make an academic summary, which is going to be creative in one aspect and which is going to be nicely coordinated and blended in your own synthesis. Well, I'm not going to read out these learning outcomes. Quite simply, we are trying to deal with summarizing as a very critical exercise in your literature survey and your synthesis of writing. Well, and in which we'll be looking at citation principles detailing. Well, so let's look at academic summarizing. Academic summarizing, as you can see on screen, and of course, it's as simple as capturing the main idea of a text in your own words. Now you look at a source article and you capture the main idea in a paragraph and you put it in your own words. It can be as simple as that if you just say it. But remember, summarizing is a cognitively demanding task. Why? It is not just you're grabbing something from an original article, but it's a mirror of how much you comprehend the original article. And this comprehension is one of the biggest tasks that you all have to do when you're doing research reading, particularly literature review. Theoretically, this aligns with Bloom's taxonomy. I'm sure that you all know in Bloom's taxonomy, understanding lies at the cognitive level. Cognitive is the very base level, and it should go up to metacognitive and synthesis level, which are high up in the taxonomy's pyramid. So summarizing is not as simple as simply capturing the main idea. It demands a lot of cognitive activity. And you, in this case, will be simply identifying the key concepts of a given source. And then, not relying on the key concepts alone, you'll be grasping them and will be then getting your thinking ability into that grasp of the main ideas. What do we do there? We actually identify the concepts and you're going to restate that very concisely, right? And in this restatement, you're going to actually follow the academic genre. When you are following an academic genre, you have to actually conceptualize the idea, put it in a nice fabric in your own write-up. So as FEEC 2012 highlights, summarizing is a foundational component in constructing research-based writing. And this is very particular when it comes to literature reviews and particularly on argumentation. So you take facts from literature and you argue for a purpose that you set in your literature review, and that argumentative writing, or rather your argumentation, is supported by the facts. Therefore, summarizing is not as simply as capturing the main idea and writing it in your own words. Summarizing actually fosters disciplinary literacy and it encourages critical engagement with source material. So it's a way of not just writing, it's a critical reading aspect. It's a critical thinking aspect. And of course, it involves critical synthesizing aspect. So in all, summarizing is going to be a very, very critical skill that every researcher should master, right? And as you can see, you integrate, you condense your source. So look at, a good summary is going to be concise in the sense short. Objective, what do you mean by objective? Objective means before you put your own interpretation into it, before you actually moderate, or rather you conceptualize the very idea given in the original text into suit into your argument, you objectively, without any bias, without any purpose of interpreting it, you actually admit to its original content. And when you write this concise and objective summary, one of the key concerns that you have to keep in mind is your citing. True that you are taking the main idea from a given paragraph, but still, academic integrity is that you cite your reader from where you took it. Well, so why do we summarize? It's because it shows your understanding of the scholarly work. Now you deal with scholarly work and it reflects, your summary reflects how much you understood from it. And this particularly is relevant in research writing because you tend to do a task with a given word limit, and word limit is really high in a PhD or MPhil or MSc thesis. It's going beyond 75,000 to bigger numbers. So when you're going to achieve such a big task, yes, you deal with words, and might be that your inner mind may be forcing you to rely much on direct quotations. But over reliance of direct quotation is not a good thing because it shows how much you are depending on the others. If you are showing off your own independence as a research writer, you have to get rid from direct quotations as much as possible. So you do not rely much on direct quotations. Instead, you take the gist of it in your own words in a summary. And the biggest thing is it helps you blend sources with your own argument. This is a next level skill. You blend sources and you have your own argument you set. And when you're blending sources and their knowledge and information and facts in your own argument, you're actually synthesizing something, or rather, you're conceptualizing the main article's ideas towards a purpose, a logic argument that you have in your own mind, right? And these skills, as we little come to know last week by dealing with one article, what is metacognition? Metacognition is about you are becoming a master of your own thinking process and your own learning process. And summarizing is supported to be, or rather regarded to be, a metacognitive skill, right? And you evaluate what is important and you express it in a concise way. This practice actually helps students avoid executive quoting, which is common issue in early academic writing. But I'm sure that those are not big deals for you all, right? Let's move on and see what is there. Before we move on to the next slide is there, but I want to get a response from you all. Can you all just put in one sentence or phrase, why should we summarize? My question is, why should we summarize? Or rather, why an academic summary is needed? We have gotten to know this a little. Can you put that in a phrase, maybe in a sentence, and send it back to me on a chat so that I know that you are catching me up? Time begins. I'll give you 1 minute for that. Not as much as a big time, but still it's enough for you all to deal with it. Can I hear from you why summarizing? That's my question. Why summarizing? Let me type it. Question is there. Can answer the question. I'm waiting for your responses. Thank you. Thamini, clarifying key points. Yeah. Time saving, indeed, Thamini. Yes. When you do summarizing, you don't need to rely on everything. You grasp the main ideas and save a lot of your time. And of course, above all, you are not going to be stuffed with lots and lots of detail. You know the summary. And while you're processing your summary, you're going to internalize that memory. And with that, you are enriching, you are nurturing your own knowledge repository. Thank you, Supun. It allows quickly grasp of the key findings. Yes, that is a cognitive skill that you practice therein. Yes, when you take the summary, you quickly grasp the key findings. Yes. Anojan, thank you. It helps simplify and clarity. Yes. It quite simply simplify the reading you do. And of course, it clarifies lots of things to you. Yeah. Thank you, Anojan. I'm waiting for the others' answers. Yep. My question is clear. Why summarizing? Why it? Thank you, Supun, Anojan, and Thamini, for your responses. I'm waiting for the others to bring your responses. Don't convince to me that I'm speaking only to 3 scholars in front of me, but I'm sure that the others are listening, or rather they might have put this into recording and might be doing their work. But those who are still there, please respond and tell me why he's summarizing. Just one more for me to please myself that you all are there. Thank you, Gimras. It helps us understand better, yes. The other day we were highlighting on top of the 4 skills of language in academic writing and reading, we deal with thinking, right? So this thinking and how your cognitive, or rather how your brain responds to text is what we call thinking. So it understands better. Yes, you said quite rightly, Gimras. And thank you, Danushka. It helped turn complex research into digestible insights. Wonderful, yes. Now, digestible insights, I love these words. You read others' articles and you digest them, and they become your own insights, and saving time while preserving key findings. Yes. You preserve key findings, you save time, and you digest them, you process. You see, summarizing is a process which you keep yourself occupied with the rest of the literature. So that's simply the secret formula of all this. Thank you. With that, we can certainly go ahead. Thank you very much, because all those insights gave me that you all are engaging with me in this dialogue. Well, what makes a good summary? So I'm not advising you, but I'm just reminding you, because this is an art you are already practicing. On top of what you're doing, I'm just giving you a bit of a hint. Remember, in every paragraph, as we happen to see in academic writing, a paragraph deals with one main idea, and we are going to pick it in the topic sentence, right? Focus, rely on main idea, main points. And through the paragraph, you'll see lots of minor details and examples and facts and figures, amplifications to support the main idea. And when you're dealing with the summary, you're going to avoid those minor details, minor examples and amplifications. And the most important thing is you are going to get or grasp the main idea, and you're going to write in your own words. There where the processing happens. You write in your own words. As one of our friends happened to quite rightly articulated it, it's digesting. You digest and you make it a digestible part or particle of the whole idea. And do not forget, true that you summarize someone else's idea, but still remember that idea is someone else's. because he or she happened to write it and publish it earlier. You give him the due credit by properly citing, right? Irrespective of whether you are doing summarizing or paraphrasing, citing is a must. That's the nature, that's the norm of this business. Well, with that, we'll be moving on to the next slide where we are going to look at step-by-step guide to attempt a summarizing task. Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't think that we are preaching you how to do this. You know the art, you're mastering it, and you are actually dealing with it. Rather than we are preaching you, you are doing it by yourself and you are mastering it further. And in this mastery, we are simply indicating you the steps. And remember that these steps are not the steps. These are some of the steps that the research found to be effective strategies in doing a summary. So what do they indicate? The first thing is read the text thoroughly. Now, you know, skimming, scanning and all that, but here you are going beyond the skimming and scanning level and you're going to process the article, or rather the passage, looking at thoroughly, grasping information. Identify the main idea. You know how to do it. It usually appears in the topic sentence or somewhere towards the opening of the paragraph. And you see the supporting arguments and key findings. You spot the main idea and key findings in your first instance. That's it. And then what you're going to do is you highlight the core message. Now you have the main idea, key findings, and arguments, and you process through these three separately highlighted points. We did the annotation last week, and while we were doing these annotations, we realized what is the theme, the main idea, and then supporting details, and if you could remember the minor things. And when you go through these highlighted annotated text, you're going to get the core message by connecting the main idea, supporting details, and all that. And remember that you're doing is to communicate back to a different audience, which is your writing is read by another audience. You're reading someone else's writing, so you are the audience of that, and you're reading it to produce your artifact to another audience, so that the next audience is a brand new audience, and you're going to give them what you grasp from looking at one source. Okay. And the third point is ignore minor details. What are these minor details? Examples you can avoid. Data, elaboration points, right? If you feel like a particular point of elaboration is unnecessary, it's not really essential, avoid it. Keep your idea on the main thing discussed in that particular paragraph and restate the idea in your own words. This fourth stage, bullet point 4, is very important because restating the main idea is a higher order thinking activity. Use neutral, objective language. Avoid copying phrases from the source. Because if you are going to copy maybe a phrase that can be cited or flagged your manuscript into a plagiarized version. So that be careful when you're dealing with that. And now, the most important thing, you have grasped the main idea, you have reduced the minor details, and you connected the main idea and findings together, and you synthesize your own objective summary of it. But this objective summary can do very little. You need to make sure that you embed that objective summary in your own writing. So what you have to do? You have to use academic transitions. How? You have to make sure that you contextualize your objective summary in the context, in the argument, in the very point you are developing, or rather embedding that summary into. So you see phrases like the study shows. So you say what it shows. Or other phrases like according to the findings, if this, and that. Or rather you might say the research concludes. What you're doing here is you simply locate the transition of your argument. The summary is taken and located, embedded nicely, making it appropriate in the context you are writing. And the sixth point is actually proper citation. we are advised that, most of your writing should come in IEEE style, but do not ever master just one citation style, because if you're going to write to 3 journals in your lifetime, just imagine you have to try it for many journals, more than a dozen of journals, perhaps more. If you take 3 journals, let me tell you, they might be preferring different citation styles. IEEE is actually one of the dominant citation styles used in STEM domains, particularly in engineering, but even in many other STEM domains, it's going to be common, but still, other styles like APA, Chicago, and Harvard are some other methods which are popular. You have to actually look at the very publishing window that you're going to make it a product. So if you look at a journal, first look at what is journal's citation style and writing style, and then go to any internet source available and study that writing style, how it does, right? And then adapt that into yours. Well, once you get your objective summary with right transitions embedded into your write-up, and then you cite it, you are done mostly about summarizing, but it is not the end point. What is the end point? You have to revise your writing right now for its brevity and clarity. We have been discussing brevity and clarity in our previous lectures. You have to see whether it's bravely stated, concisely stated, and of course, you should use the minimum number of words to express the strongest idea you want to project, and see whether it's grammatically correct and clearly conveys the idea. Now, if you are writing, though how beautifully written your summary is, if it is deviating from the main idea, the idea that you cited in the source, your summary is an utter failure, right? You do a failed job. So what you have to do is look back at the original and see whether you have made, or rather you have given birth, or rather you have recrafted your summary, identically communicating the main idea, clearly conveys the idea, right? That is a very critical point. Often, many of the writers forget. And we advise, therefore, you all to keep this as a checklist. Find these 7 steps. And if you're going to do this, I'm sure that you are going to master an excellent, what? Excellently embedded contextual summary, which nicely fit into your fabric of literature review or whatever you are writing, right? So those are step-by-step guides to attempt a summarizing task. I know that these are not new things for you all, but these things are actually sort of, I'm reminding you, I'm guiding you quite simply, step by step, scaffolding you through the process. Well, one of the key concerns in all this is avoiding plagiarism. Summarizing is a way of ethically taking someone else's knowledge. But even though your summary is original in your own terms, the original idea is someone else's. Therefore, never forget to cite it. Copying directly or closely rewarding is plagiarism. You're writing all this to publish. You're writing all this to get your degree completed. And your experiment, your research is noted by the rest of the world. If you want your audience to read it, the other academics to read it, you have to make sure that you are abide by the academics integrity standards available, and you are rightly locating it there ethically, using academic integrity as the norm of your writing, right? And yes, giving credit to the original source is a plus point, because when you giving those credit to your summary, in your summary to the original writers, you practice it, the ethical referencing, and you train it to your reader. And when they are using your knowledge in their citations, you are also going to be cited. And consider it as an honor, right? Imagine yourself as somebody who produces knowledge for others to quote and synthesize their own. And in keeping that inspiration in your own mind, do this summary so that you will see that you are investing on summary with such a brave inspiration, with such a brave intention, right? Well, that's what I have to say from my end. I'm not going to elaborate much on how to do IEEE citation, quite simple. When you're done with your summary, place the citation at the end of the sentence, right? And citation should be placed within square brackets. And if you refer it for the first time, if it is your first source that you are citing, you cite it as quotation square bracket within square brackets, you cite it as number 1. We call this in-text citation, which means it appears in the text itself, right? And this number 1 article will be listed later in your detailed reference list under quotation, under square bracket 1, you give full citation. Look at the example. Hybrid solar cells improve efficiency by 20%. So this is a fact you took from a particular article, and that article is cited here as square bracket 1 item. Ensure that all sources cited are listed in the reference section. You listed it out, and when you cite the same thing again somewhere else from the same article, you are not going to put square bracket and the next number. You are going to put the same number that you referred this article in your earliest instance. Those are silly things, but I'm just reminding you, not underestimating your cognitive capacity, but just to remind you, such things could be quite easily slip through your mind. Well, so what is the best practice for summarizing? Read actively, use your own words, be concise and clear, use academic transitions. Can you remember? You have an objective summary, and with your academic transitions, you put it in the context of your writing, in your argument, right? And then you cite the original source. So that is the ethically correct academic summarizing process. I wish these practices are clear. With that, let's look at the common errors that you might commit in doing a summary. Maybe if you do not go to the last episode of the checklist, what is it? You compare the original text together with your summary that you wrote. And if you do not that part, what happens is there is a high chance that you might have taken verbatim phrases from the original, but you think that you did not take it. But the plagiarism softwares can detect this similarity, and they might flag your writing as what? Plagiarized. Therefore, always do the last step. You compare the original with yours, and then see if there is any quotation remaining. Try to replace it with your own wording, or else within your summary, if you do not find any other better way explaining it, keep it as it is, but remember to add the double quotation marks so that you indicate your reader that you quoted it from the original, and when you give the reference at the end of the in-text citation, you have done it ethically correctly. And summarizing everything is a bigger mistake that you do. When you read through a paragraph, you don't need to summarize everything, but you have to grasp the essence of it. You extract the essence, that is the main idea, right? Essential focus is, demanded at the theme, or rather the topic sentence where the main idea is given. And you do not need to go beyond central point. Keep your attention on central point alone. And sometimes when you're doing the summarizing thing. Perhaps, as I told you earlier, if you do not go through the last step where you compare the original with your own, you may not be able to detect this. Sometimes when you're doing it, maybe that you will be highlighting something which is not the main idea of the paragraph. So don't do that. You have to make sure that you are taking the main idea. Do not let that you miss the main idea. Maybe that you'll be taking an evidence as the main idea, but if you're doing summary, you have to take the main idea, not the evidence as the main idea. Well, the other thing could be when you summarize, if you lack citation, remember that it's a mistake. You will be flagged as plagiarized or copied, with which you'll be showing your examiner, you'll be showing your writer, or rather your reader, that you are doing something illegitimate. Well, so those are the things that we are going to do. Now, take a piece of pencil and pen and a piece of paper, perhaps, or else you can use your own Word document, or else I would rather prefer you use the notepad where the word processing support is minimally given. And we are going to now try this strategy in a real-time task. And if you're ready to embark on it, indicate yes. And with that yes in your chat, we'll be moving on to the task. Let me have, yes, thank you, Subun. You indicate yes. Yes, we are moving. Here we are. Can you read? Yes, we are going to do a summary writing activity, which is not given elsewhere. You can look at the slide and you can find the excerpt. This activity is, this is for practice. Read the excerpt carefully, highlight the main idea, and attempt to express it in a single sentence, right? And I'll be giving you a chance to share it on your WhatsApp chat, not WhatsApp chat, actually on your Zoom chat. And we'll look how different your summaries are, right? And do not delegate this task to any of the summarizing softwares given in online, right? Do not give it to ChatGPT or anything. Try and do it, because we are improving your skills, not we are testing the language model skill to summarize. You know, it is skillful than you, perhaps, but still lacking a person and a creative mind behind it, it might be making brilliant, billions of errors. So look at the excerpt. Let me help you read it with me. Researchers have engineered a biodegradable cardiovascular stent using 3D printed nanomaterials. The innovation draws upon interdisciplinary principles from biomedical engineering, material science, and mechanical engineering design, resulting in a device that dissolves safely post treatment, thereby eliminating the need for secondary surgical procedure. This is not a big deal, not so complicated. You can understand what it is. And what is your task? Compose a concise one-sentence summary of the text using your own words. Ensure that the summary accurately reflects the central idea and includes in-text citation, and of course, try to use academic transitions as well and put that in a meaningful synthesis. Citation is given as a third point. Your time is counting. You have 5 minutes to do this. And once you're done, kindly paste it on your chat and send it here for everyone to see. Your time counts. Once you're done, ladies and gentlemen, we want you to post it on your Zoom chat so that everyone else can see it. Thank you, Sufun, for beginning the mission. Yes. It's just one sentence summary. Yes. Perfect. And we are getting Madhushankar's summary as well. Well, Madhushankar, you made a wonderful attempt here. Yes. You went on eliminating the minor details. Yes. You replaced the minor details like, biomedical engineering, yep, material science and all that. You simply put that in interdisciplinary principles. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, great. We are waiting for the others also to come with their handy summaries. Yes, friends, we are getting Thamini's response as well. Well, Thamini, yes, that's also a wonderful summary. Yes, great. And it also
Yes.
is.
Yes. So now different fields. So can we replace it like interdisciplinary? Now, if we like compare these two, like now, using interdisciplinary fields of engineering. So now we can enhance a Thamini summary by saying the last part, treatment surgery by integrating interdisciplinary fields of engineering. We can without saying like different fields of engineering, we can like reduce the word count by mentioning interdisciplinary fields of engineering, like different fields of engineering. Okay, okay, it's okay. Uh, and uh, okay, now this has happened to come now. Dhanushika has now converted interdisciplinary into multidisciplinary. Again, okay. Hmm. Now, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary, are they the same meaning? That you have to actually search first. I mean, if you don't know the meaning, just search first whether interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary do they give the same meaning? Because now in this summary, it is interdisciplinary, that is this innovation interrelates to all these fields, but does it relate to a multidisciplinary team is a question. So in the summary, you can't add extra information. You have to only depend on the information given in the original text. And when going to Anujan's description, okay. So again, combining ideas from medicine, material science, and engineering, you can just simply say combining ideas from different fields or combining ideas from interdisciplinary principles or interdisciplinary principles. Just you can say without going into describing the fields, that is naming the fields like medicine, material science, and engineering. You can simply say combining ideas from interdisciplinary principles. And okay, we have Gimra's engineering a 3D printed. Okay. In Gimra's answer, I can see like a connection, an issue in the flow of information that is in your answer, that you're starting engineering a 3D printed nanomaterial based biodegradable device that helps to eliminate the need for secondary procedures, requires knowledge of. I mean, you have not you have to ensure that there's a logical flow of ideas in this sentence. You can start by saying that okay, the you can like start with the subject in this sentence. Like there's no subject in this sentence or some kind of a doer in this sentence. You can start by researchers have found a 3D printed nanomaterial based biodegradable device that helps to eliminate the need for secondary surgical procedures requiring knowledge of interdisciplinary principles, right? You can enhance this idea by adding a subject to the sentence by using now researchers have engineered a 3D printed nanomaterial based biodegradable device that helps to eliminate the need for secondary surgical procedures requiring knowledge of interdisciplinary principles. So that's one way that you can enhance your answer, Gimras. And going on, yes, so that's the feedback I can give on your answers. And Sir Prasanna, what do you have to say?
Yeah, of course. There were two critical points that you highlighted, yes. Now, when you are to just replace one word with another with a synonym, you have to check whether they are really the synonyms. And if even though if it is a synonym, if it is not contextually communicating the idea we want to say, that can be not so clever idea. Now, as she happened to clearly indicate that interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary in the sense many disciplines come in handy to serve one purpose. And when you say multidisciplinary, it's not the same idea given as in interdisciplinary. The other point that she was indicating was, the engineering. Yes, you nominalize, or rather you put the verb into a noun, and in which you are going on developing your synthesis. This is regarding Gimbras again. When you go ahead with your synthesis, you sometimes forget uh, the first clause. In your first clause, you might give one idea which you're going to connect with the second, but in the meantime, you miss the very point of where I put my subject in, where the object in, and where the verb in. So when these distances are created between subject and verb, it makes the cognitive, what we call, exhaustion on the reader's end. We should not let it happen. Yes. Those things are rightly, very good takeaways for you all to take home. And we have seen 6 summaries, which is fairly a good thing. I think the rest of the guys are actually keeping the session on while they are not sitting by the side. Well, anyway, we can go ahead with the next slide. Now, you can look at the 6 summaries read by, or rather written by, your friends. And they are there on your chat screen. So what you're supposed to do, you're going to do a peer review. You can choose one synthesis done by one of your friends, which is posted on chat, and you're going to do a peer review of it. This is the second level of what you call learning summary. Why? Whatever you're writing needs to be seen from a reader's angle. And at the same time, if your reader is another writer like you, you're going to get a better input or feedback. Now we're going to practice this skill in the class. Now, out of the 6 summaries that your friends happen to post on the chat, take one. And you need not to mention whose summary you took, but you can objectively give a peer review feedback considering these aspects. There are nearly 7 aspects that we want you all to look at. The summary clearly conveys the main idea. The summary is concise to one sentence, and it reduces unnecessary details sufficiently, whether it is done. The student, or rather the summary has used, the author has used their own words, whether the words are really authentic, or rather the author is doing a patchworking or verbatim copying or direct copying. And you can look at the summary's maintenance of neutrality or objectivity, whether he's trying to add something on top of what the writer says, or is it the exact same thing that the writer has said. The in-text citation, whether it is rightly cited, and you can look at the grammar and sentence. Look at these aspects and do a review on one of your friends' summaries. Your time counts. Now it's, we'll be giving you nearly again 5 minutes to look at one of your friends' write-up, and you're going to give them a peer feedback. And once you're ready with your peer feedback, remember that you send it once again on chat. We don't need to name whose summary you are going to critique on, but you can look at the particular summary and you can give an objective feedback on it. Your time counts. Begin it right now. So friends, your peer review time began and you have 2 minutes to deal with it further. And when your peer review is done, just send your review comment on chat. Thank you, Supun, for beginning the commenting. Yes. Why did we say you to be objective on, we don't want you to cite which particular person's write-up you are referring to, because that will keep you engaged. And at the same time, you can simply forget your biases towards any writer, but you can objectively observe one summary and see and check with your own checklist how well he or she has done it. So we are inviting the others also to make use of this opportunity to do that peer review, because that is something that you all should practice. With that, I'm sure that you're going to learn a lot, because with that, you will see how, when somebody happens to do a peer review on you, how should you process it could be understood by doing this activity. So, ladies and gentlemen, please try. We want to hear from at least a couple of you further on the same feedback. Thank you, Supun. You have captured almost every aspect that we want you to look at in your peer feedback. Yes. You looked at the content, whether it captures the key information, and you detected the sentence structure defect. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And you admit that you used the citation rightly. Yes. Can we hear from the others as well? Friends, if you have your feedback written, please post it. You don't need to be very elaborative on points, or rather, you don't need to waste your time just pretending us that you are doing it. We are taking time, and if you are not taking time for that, or rather you are just waiting for us to move to the next slide, kindly indicate. Thank you. We are getting a very elaborative response from Gimras. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Gimras. Yes. You've done it so methodically, capturing each aspect of your evaluation. And of course, if you are capturing each aspect of your evaluation rubric, which means you are equally internalizing the whole idea of summarizing. Thank you. With that, yes, we can move on to the next slide. If the others are done with their responses, they can post on chat. But in the meantime, we'll be moving to look at the modular summaries on the same text. Madam Ashwini, can you kindly...
Yes, sure. So now these are three versions of summaries. So like we kind of thought of inserting these three versions just to show you on how to like compare these three versions and show you how to write a better version, how to craft a better version. Now, we look at the first version, a biodegradable stent developed through interdisciplinary engineering, dissolves safely after artery healing, reduce the need for follow-up surgeries. Now see, now see here. Now in this summary, see. Now in your summaries, did any one of you refer to these things? Engineering dissolves safely after artery healings, reducing the need for follow-up surgeries. Now, in this thing, what I mentioned here is now in this summary, now this writer has used many of his own words. Writer has tried a lot to put the summary in his own words. Right, he has tried a lot to put the concept, main idea in his own words. So that's a good thing, and also this is clear and concise. And but now this misses a main point. What is it? It misses a main point, that is, it misses the 3D printing part and the nanomaterial part. And if we go to the into version 2, the study describes a stent design using 3D printed nanomaterial that merges principles from material science, medicine, mechanical engineering to produce a dissolvable device that avoids the need for a second surgical procedure. Okay, detailed and accurate. So it is detailed and accurate. So it is very detailed. It is very wordy. But so we can reduce these the wordy parts by simply going into words like interdisciplinary principles, or those words which we can reduce, terms which we can refer to groups of words in one phrase, in one term. So that's how we can improve this version. And if we go to this version, a 3D printed biodegradable stent integrating biomedical and mechanical design principles enables safe post-treatment dissolution, eliminate the need for reoperation. Right. Okay. Now here it goes again, a 3D printed biodegradable stent integrating biomedical and mechanical design principles enables safe post-treatment dissolution, eliminating the need for reoperation. Okay. Eliminating the need for reoperation. Okay. Enables safe post-treatment dissolution. See, now here in this version 3 and version 1, now version 2 is very much similar to the original text, but see in version 1 and version 3, they have used a lot of synonyms and they have written the original, they have used a lot of writing in their own words. Used a lot of other words to rewrite the concept, right? So it's better if you can rewrite the main idea in your own words. So that's the plus point in version 1 and version 3. And yeah, so and also this contains discipline specific language. So it contains like post-treatment dissolution, eliminating the need for reoperation. So if you are more into biomedical sciences, you can even now in the summary, now you guys are not from biomedical, so you don't know the context of biomedical. So but if the summary is from the text for you to summarize is from from a field that you can use discipline specific words, and like use discipline specific words as synonyms. You use those words as synonyms, and you can change the words, and also like replace these words with more effective words, and also and make the summary more reader friendly to the read, right? So these are the things that I wanted to highlight. And yes, so these are the comparisons of three versions, like three ways how you could write the same summary of the that a small extract here. So, Sir Prasanna, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes. So what you did is quite simply taking a very impromptu chance where you happen to see an excerpt at the very given moment, with which you dealt with a bit of a summary, and you then took it to a peer review, and finally we happen to see how three model summaries generated separately in separate lengths and separate what we call creativities, how they differ from one another. Now, the whole idea of all this is summarizing, remember, is an act of understanding and ethical responsibility. So when you're doing summarizing, you have to draw connections between lots of things. Summarizing academic identity and scholarly communication. Summarizing is just one act you are doing. And with your summary, you are going to show to your audience what is your academic identity. Because if you have seen in our model answers, author 1 and 3 in the samples, we have seen that they show their academic identity as professionals in that particular field, right? And the other thing is you are combining scholarly communication, because this is actually produced to an audience known to this particular discipline. So if they are from the same discipline, you have to keep in mind that it's a sort of a scholarly communication, right? Well, what we have to tell you is when you do more review on your literature, the more articles that you review, the more summaries that you synthesize, and more reviews that you do on your own summaries, and the more that you compare your originals with the summaries, and this iterative process of fine-tuning your summaries will bring into a wonderful skill at the end of the day. So never hesitate to do them, because they are not simply wasting your time, they're actually investing your time, doing a great job, because at the end of the day, with your PhD thesis, your master thesis, what you're going to project on your listener or reader is your academic identity and how well you are capable of your scholarly communication. So now we are going to do an activity on breakout groups. So we'll be taking you across 3 different excerpts. There are 3 excerpts given. And before we go into the breakout room, actually we want each of you individual to look at each of the 3 excerpts given and try your summary. And if you want to refer to this whole thing, you can go to the Moodle page, and there you'll see the activity uploaded, right? So simply download the material, and when you download the material, you'll see the activity description and then the 3 excerpts. And of course, you are given a space where you can write up your summary. So your time counts right now, and we'll be giving you 15 minutes to deal with this activity, and then we'll be coming into the discussion in breakout groups. So first, do it individually on all 3 excerpts. They are from 3 different engineering or other STEM-related disciplines. They're not going to be hectic tasks, but as you're investing this time with this summary activity, never hesitate to do it. Download it and deal with it, and let us see what your results are. Well, let me go muted, but expecting that you all are doing it from your end, and expecting that you will be bringing it
Sir,
to
we
the
have
discussion.
Yes, we have a helping, like we have sort of a guide for them to this task in the next slide.
Yeah, we'll move on to that.
Okay.
Yes. So let's look at the first excerpt that's on photovoltaic efficiency. You can read the excerpt, you see, a recent study on photovoltaic PV cell efficiency reveals that incorporating perovskite layers can enhance overall solar energy conversion rates by 20%. The research conducted by Liu and others employed layered deposition techniques to compare the energy outputs of traditional silicon PV cells versus hybrid perovskite silicon structures under variable light conditions. Going to be a little tricky, maybe that you are not familiar with the domain, but still, if you read it through, you'll be able to grasp some of its gist. So let's look at the tips. We are inviting you to tip 1, focus on what the study proves. What is it? Efficiency gain with, perovskite. The second tip is don't include methods or data specifics. Now, it deals with data and methods as well, so you can simply forget about it. Tip number 3, try starting your own sentence with something like this. The study, and you can start citation and go ahead. Or rather, a research on photovoltaic, you can cite and go ahead. And one critical thing is, ask from yourself, ask from the text, and ask from your reading, from your own mind, what's the one most important idea I should carry forward? There are advices given on best practices as well. You can highlight the key terms. You can avoid coding. You can see author's purpose and audience. Focus on the what and why, and forget about how, that is methods. Use signal phrases. Always cite, never forget it. So those are simply the tips that we want to do. With all that, you can go into model summaries. This is a model summary of the first task. So you can simply forget the first task right now. You see, if you read through this summary, it says recent research. Okay, you give the citation, shows that integrating perovskite layers with silicon-based solar cells significantly boost energy conversion efficiency under fluctuating light conditions. You see? Well, let's work on the other two excerpts. Your time counts on. So friends, I think you all are doing it. And of course, in a couple of minutes, I wish that you all can come back with your answers. And remember that this is not to compete with one another. This is to actually compete with yourself. If you've done a better summary with the first excerpt, you better try to do a much better summary with the next one. And perhaps With the third one, you're going to do your best. And remember that this success of converting you from something good to the best of it is a process of continuous practice and perseverance, and of course, peer review and self-reflection. Never forget those creams which are actually nurturing your academic writing trajectory. And what can you see here is a simple summary, a model one, which is crafted using the second excerpt. And what you can see here is a third excerpt, which you could see in your handout if you have downloaded it. And the tips on how to deal with it and a model summary. And on the given handout series, you will notice that there are model answers also given. And remember that all this is not to teach you or rather preach you that this is the way, or rather this is the way of doing it, but actually to give you that there are many ways possible for you to attempt the same thing. And how you are doing it, and how often you are doing it, and how reflective you are doing it, and how enthusiastically you are investing on it will certainly make the success of your journey. Well, with that, we can actually go into a little wrap-up discussion, allowing you all to bring something into today's dialogue. We actually have planned a breakout group activity, but we decided not to go into that, but instead we thought of getting you involved in a discussion here with us, raising your voice and raising your ideas in chat form with us. We are going to have a bit of an interactive couple of minutes where we are going to look at how you are doing right now. That's number one. And of course, how well or rather how poorly were we trying to help you navigate through this writing exercise. So you all can begin with perhaps posting any comment, perhaps by asking any question, or perhaps by articulating your own response on the things that we've been doing so far. It's over to you, ladies and gentlemen. We are not going to name any of you by your identities, but you can just begin the dialogue because we all are actually of the same boat. You all are doing your studies, and we from our end are also doing our studies, and we actually are from the same boat. So let us share our good practices. You know what the purpose of this silence is? We want to hear from you how well you are doing, and whether there are other areas that we should concentrate ourselves on in planning the next couple of sessions. And of course, we want to get your feedback as to how and how well you are doing particularly. And maybe if you want to ask any question on the workshop which is due, you can raise those questions as well. It's over to you guys. Madam Ashwini, have you got something to add as a stimuli for the others to think of?
No, but since this is today, the lesson was on summarizing, and the thing is that we do always now summarizing. We have done it from our school days, and in now in university undergraduate level also we've been using doing summarizing in our academic endeavors, but in postgraduate level. So what we needed here today to highlight is that there are different ways we can explore language creatively and bring creativity in play with the language, and then create a effective summary. And now, summary is not only writing the main idea, grasping the main idea, but you also have to build your main argument, connect your argument with the other arguments you're making in your main essay. And yes, so you have to build up your own argument as well as say how it relates to your argument, and how the source that you extracted from the the text you read, you have to you have to get a brief get a summary of the source you read, and also then you have to tell your own your connect it to your main argument or the opinion, and then you can just connect it to your main text, right? So the next part is that, so you have to integrate it into your text. So what we did today is just summarizing. So your part is integrate your next task is integrating it with the other parts of your essay and making it connected to your essay. Yeah, over to you, sir.
Well, let me invite some of you to raise your voice. Unless we know that, it's quite obvious that no one is going to be.
Yes, so Dimras, so are you there?
Yes.
Yes, so just can you tell me anything that you learned new today from the lesson, or just was it like the same things that you learned that you learned previously about summarization, or did you learn any kind of even a little thing new today from today's session?
Actually, I have to ask a question. Yeah.
Yes, Gimras, go ahead.
Yeah. I noticed that when I'm summarizing the exact one, which was previously given, and that we can neglect the points like that's their solar energy conversion rates by 20%, like that, like those kind of numerical things. So also they are mentioning that they use these kind of techniques like that. Can we neglect those kind of stuff also? Oh, is it okay?
Well,
What kind?
yeah, clear, Gimras, yes. Now, what we
Uh,
can. Yes,
it
Madam
depends on
Ashwini.
the context.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it depends solely on the context. So now if you now here what we did is we did summarize in ID in we idealized summarization, and we did it in idle. But now summary comes in context ne? So you're connecting it into a major theme in your essay, and you are kind of referring it in your essay and saying that okay, you're providing evidence using evidence from a paper, and you're saying that okay, this evidence is you're summarizing an evidence from a paper and saying that okay, according to this paper, this research, this has happened, and you're summarizing that finding, right? So in order to prove your argument, if that certain aspect of that technique or the photovoltaic that technique is very much needed to prove your argument, yes, in your summary you should include it, right? So but if it's not the case, in order to, if in your essay, when you have to prove the now when you're going to when you're going to prove when you're writing an argument, for your argument, if that technique is not very much needed to prove your argument, then you can omit that one and just focus on the other key areas. So it mainly depends on the context, right? You are like integrating the summary. So now summary is not like, it's not just individual things. You are connecting this summary to your research paper. So yeah, it's your building upon your arguments. So did you get it, Tarindu?
Yeah.
Gimras.
Thank
Yeah, Gimras, let me add a bit on top of it, yes. Now, imagine that we solely took how to do summary. That was the topic in concern. But in summarizing, your purpose might be different. Say, for example, you are summarizing a particular text, article, looking at its methodology, right? So how they did it. If you are actually looking at the methodology, the how aspect cannot be forgotten, right? So you might say, or rather extract the summary of how they did it and relate it in your article. And of course, in this summary thing is one thing, but in your synthesis, if you want to get any, let me say, any statistics to prove one of the points that you are developing in your writing, your argument, if you want to get evidences from a particular study, you can go a step further into that study and take an evidence, forgetting the whole idea of summarizing, right? So all what we are doing is highly context bound. So your purpose tells you what to keep and what to forget. And if your point is to look at the methods section, so yes, how is very important. If you are going to prove something particularly with statistics, yes, you can't forget the statistics even in a particular journal, you have to take it. So it's highly interdependent on the context that you are referring. That's number one. Number two, the purpose of your reading it. So if you're taking information, then take it, no worries. But once again, the information or other evidences can also be taken in a summary note. That's what I wanted to add on top of what she added.
you.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, can we hear from perhaps Priyadarshini? Priyadarshini, if you have something to say with us or rather ask any question, we are very much willing to respond to you. Maybe until Priyadarshini's thoughts are getting ready, yes. Okay, Priyadarshini remarks that she hasn't got anything to question. Nadisha, can we hear from you? How is your experience today and all that?
Sorry, sir, I couldn't participate today. I had a lecture, so I came really late today, so I couldn't participate. Sorry.
It's
But
okay,
I
Nadisha.
suppose that it was a good lesson today. I'm going to watch the recording later.
Okay, Nadisha, thank you. We would love to hear from Madhushankar, if you are there. Yes, Madhushankar.
Yes, sir. So from different places, we have heard the methods to summarize. However, So today I some tactics like how to summarize things in.
Thank you, Madhushankar. And with that, let us move to the last slide. We had objectives or rather takeaways set. Here we are. Here. So with that, let us move to the last slide where we actually want to see what you all are really expected to take home. Is my slide clear at your end? So we are at the wrap-up slide.
Yes, sir.
Right. Quite simple. Now, in a summary, yes, you have a purpose of summarizing something. If you're simply summarizing things, you can do it by just looking at the main idea. As we have taught you in any paragraph, the main idea is stated towards the topic sentence. So if you're going to scan through the topic sentences, it will give you the idea of the main idea. But as I happen to clearly contextualize, if you are looking at not about the main idea alone in the very paragraph, if you are particularly looking at the summary of the methods, so go to the methods section and do the summary, and there you will get the summary of the method section. And if you are going to do the summary of the findings, go to the findings section and do the summary of it. There where you will find the summary of it. So your summarizing depends on your purpose. But all in all, a good summary is short, clear, and faithful to the original idea. And it always is written in your own words and your own structure. We often cited, it tells your academic identity, right? So your words and your structure tells who you are, because you're reading it from someone else and you're writing it in your own synthesis with your own argument, with which you're going to project your identity to a third reader. And the next point is patch writing and over detailing should be avoided. You know what is patch writing? You just take these phrases and you verbatimly copy some phrases and just do a bit of a lazy work. Don't do that, because that will tell your identity as a flow inclusive identity. If you want to be a flawless identity in your academic writing, don't do patch writing. And often use a citation strategy, citation style, appropriate to your context, and do citation everywhere when you take someone else's knowledge. And last 2 points are quite important, which we did not much practice here. Peer review is actually the only way to help you refine your style and catch common errors. Now, when you write something, when you do someone else's writing for a review, you realize how you did it and how others have done it. So this will give you a reflective exercise, as well as you'll get a preview or rather mirror view of your own thing. And never hesitate to do peer review. And the last but not least aspect is keep practicing. While you're doing your literature review, keep practicing this. And that will surely help you navigate through this whole process. Become a confident, ethical academic writer by doing all that. So that's the last slide from my end. And if you guys do not have anything to question from us, we are not going to go beyond the second hour. We can wrap up for the day. Thank you very much for your active participation here and for bringing inputs and bringing your voice into the discussion, and particularly for being responsive. And thank you very much, Madam Ashwini, for helping me, and of course for bringing salient points without slipping through my speech, or rather slipping through my explorations. So thank you everyone, and have a safer night. Good night, all of you.